In the IT world, there's a little bit of a spectrum. On one side, you've got an IT business model called break fix. This is basically like iPhone repair. Like, this broke, can you fix it? Here's your invoice. On the other end of the spectrum, you have internal IT, which is where you hire your own internal people. That's actually the best way to do IT, but it's unbelievably expensive to do it properly. And it's just simply not financially responsible, or it doesn't make any financial sense for a business of 100 employees to hire 50 IT people to have like a true IT department. It doesn't make any sense. In the middle, you have an MSP, and an MSP stands for a managed service provider. What an MSP does is they build their own internal IT team, and then MSPs lease those teams out to businesses that need more than what a break-fix shop can provide, but at the same time, don't want to go and spend $300,000 a year on an IT team. So that's what MSPs do, and that's sort of the landscape of the industry. Now, based on your company's headcount, you'll choose one of those options. So if you're under 10 to 20 employees and a relatively simple business, you could probably get away with break fix. If you're over 1,000, probably going to be internal. You're large enough at that point. Now, in between maybe 100 and 500, you would probably use an MSP. Problem is, companies around 100 to 250 and up have the needs of that full-time IT person. Like, they have enough staff, they have enough demand, they want Tim in IT. They want the IT guy in the office. So what do? They hire Tim in IT internally, and then unfortunately expect Tim in IT to do the job of 50 people, which of course just physically does not work out. Or they go with an MSP and outsource everything, but then they don't have the guy in the office that they need. And every time they have a ticket or an issue that gets raised, it takes 3 days to get it resolved. And if they have someone that needs to come on site, it's like 2 weeks to get someone on site. So that's not an option. They could do both, and then they have Tim in IT and the MSP, but this is called co-managed IT. And it's this weird like middle ground where you have like the MSP takes care of this sometimes, and they have an MSA, but it's super blurry. And then maybe Tim should help, but Tim's out of the office, so they have to send someone on site anyway. And then it's 3 weeks out again. So that kind of just is super murky. It doesn't work. And that's the problem that we fixed with the Champion model. So it's perfect for companies between 100 and 250 employees. What we do is we place a full-time person in our client's business. So they get Tim in IT, but they don't have to train Tim. They don't have to retain Tim. They don't have to recruit Tim. They don't have to do anything with Tim except for, of course, be good coworkers and have a good co-working environment, but they get the resource. They get everything they want without any of the overhead that companies hate dealing with. They also get all of those IT teams we talked about, because again, Tim can't do all the work. So they have a system administration team. They have a cybersecurity team. They have a networking team. And the beautiful part about this whole situation is there's 100% alignment between Tim and the IT company, because they're the same company. So that's what the Champion model is, and that's why it's such an amazing fit for businesses between 100 and 250 employees. Most of our clients, they choose to have their Champion on site. They could do it remote if they're fully remote, or if they wanted remote, but most do choose on site in their office. So for that 2 to 4 weeks after their onboarding period, we basically act as a recruiting firm or a staffing firm amongst all of our other onboarding responsibilities to find them the perfect fit for their business. So we look at culture fit, we look at technical fit, we look at all of these things in their geographical area, and then make that hire for them. And they just sit in their office through their employment period. It's new and no one is really doing it, and it's exciting, and it's such an amazing fit. And I just think it's beautiful. Everyone loves it.
Once businesses have made that investment, how can they measure the ROI of their IT department, or what metrics should they be looking at?
So there's quite a few, and I'll start with the most like tangible ones. And those would be like hard IT metrics, like number of support tickets, or number of support tickets that were responded to and resolved in less than an hour, or TTR, time to response. How long did it take us to get to those support tickets? Those are like very direct IT metrics, and those can be extrapolated out even further to overall company productivity increases. So maybe we had an old process that took 2 hours, and by introducing a new piece of technology or solving an existing issue, we were able to get that process down to 20 minutes because you didn't have to reboot the server 7 times, which is a real thing that has happened. That will absolutely equate to increased revenue and or increased productivity. And those are much larger metrics that are extrapolated out of having a real solid IT department.